Hey all. Okay, when we left off last, I was on the other side of the car, just got the B-pillar set in place. I did a little more work on that, I'll show you that in a minute. But I came over to this side of the car to kind of look and kind of get a reference of what I want to do here to turn this back door into a quarter panel skin. So I don't know if you can see from that angle, but if you look at this door edge back here, this just kind of curves out here, and then you just got a straight drop. So that's a nice flat line through those body lines. But if you come up to this door up here, you come out here, and then it peeks out this way a little bit, and then it kind of curves back in at an angle, and then it kind of curves back out at an angle before it turns down here. And I think the reason they did that was to when you open this back door, so they kind of interlocked into each other, which I don't need that anymore. So I've been doing a lot of thinking today. Do I want to try and redo this edge to make it a flat edge like this? I'm assuming the door has got that flat edge back on there, and after looking at the shape of the plate, and I really don't want to do that. I think that's going to be too much work to try to get that looking right. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this. So then the next question was, so since this edge kind of makes these angles and stuff, this corresponding edge makes these angles. So did I want to just, so I need 8 inches out of this door, did I just want to shorten this door 8 inches and try and replicate those angles? But I've got a finished edge inside here, kind of already made. So I really didn't want to do that because I thought I could just utilize what's there. And another big consideration is how this back window works. Now, you know, your front window, you got a channel here and you got a channel here, and the edges of the window right in that channel. Well, the back door is not like that. It's got a channel on the inside of the door about right here, and an outside of the door about right here, and there's a roller on this pointing that way and a roller on this track pointing this way, and they slide down into each other. So kind of a whole different setup there. So after a lot of looking at it and a lot of thought, I figured the best way to do this is to section 8 inches out of this door and essentially make a little short door, mount it to the old hinges for support there, push it onto the latch for support there, get it all lined up, and then go ahead and weld it in place. And we'll go around the other side and I'll take a look at what we did over there. Alright, so looking at this door again, now yesterday I was having trouble getting this thing open and closing right, and I thought it was just the latch being sticky, but I wanted to make absolutely sure I had that B-pillar in the right place. So what I did is I got my pinion angle gauge, over here. So I know a lot of you use these, you know what that looks like. And I found a flat spot for reference on that B-pillar over there, and I stuck it on there. And I saw that that pillar leaned in 10 degrees. So then I brought it over to this pillar and I stuck it on the same flat space on this pillar and found that this pillar leaned in 13 degrees, almost 14 degrees. So I was about 4 degrees off, which is why my latch was sticking. Also measured a little reference point down here. There's a little tab on the bottom of this to that body line there, and I had 1 inch there, and I measured that one, and I had 3/4 of an inch over there. So I ended up cutting these welds loose, marking where it was, dropping it down just a little bit, and leaving this pinion angle gauge on there and making another bracket for the back, and then finally welding this in place, and then it's working good. So now, make sure I got the right one. You open opens up good. And she closes good. So we're in much better shape there. Okay, let me grab this. Okay, now onto the door over here. So I've already cut this door and cut 8 inches out of the middle, and it's just kind of sitting here right now. So the plan is, and one of the problems I ran into with the window, if you look at this channel in this door here, this is where the front edge of that glass rides when it's going up and down. So I really have to have that in there. That's part of that glass structure that I needed to keep. So that was another reason why I decided to do it this way. But anyway, the hinges are still there, so I'm going to bolt them on and hang that piece of door. And then in the back, I still got the latch there, and I'll latch that, and then I'll get it all lined up, and we'll tack it in place. It really doesn't matter that that latch and hinges is in there. You're never going to see it again. You know, once the inner structure is built, it'll just be inside the door. And once you get a door panel on it and get that set up, it'll look fine. You won't even notice it. I did cut the bottom of the door out here, and what I'm thinking here is I just want to make sure I don't have any place where moisture can get trapped, because if you know, if wash the car or take it out in the rain, if water gets down in here in this edge, I don't want water just sitting in the bottom of the door. So I cut the bottom of that door out, and then probably what I'll do is in some low spots in here, I'll put a drain so that if water would get in there, that it's got a place to go and it's not going to be trapped in there and rusting. So that's where we're at right now, and the next step is we're going to get this door mounted and see what we can do with that. So it's like I said, a lot of sitting and looking and thinking today, more than working, but I think it's I think we're headed in the right direction. So okay, let's get this door hung. Okay, so here's where we are today after working on this thing quite a bit today. I got the door. What I did was I hung this piece and worked on this door gap for a while. And what I figured out after a while was I had to remember the back half of this door came from a different car. So getting everything to line up perfectly with this piece that came from this car, and adjusting the hinges as much as I could, I ended up with a pretty wide gap in there. But it's consistent, so I'm okay with that. And what I'm going to do is, I've done this before. I got some steel rod, and this is like 3/16. I'm just going to cut some pieces and bend it to that shape and tack it on the end of there. And then once that's done, and I grind all that off, that should give me a nice gap. So anyway, this piece was a bolted-in piece that where these two edges of the door met, so I had to cut it back a little bit and welded it in there. Got the back part of the door on, got this all lined up, tacked all this in. This is all good and solid. I went ahead and referenced this body line and got it pretty good all the way straight through. But by taking a section out of this body line is off a little bit from this body line, kind of what I ran into up here. So I think what I'm going to have to do is take a piece of this rod and tack it here and tack it here and give myself a straight line to work with. And I may have to do some cutting on these panels or to get that lined up. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet, but it's doable. We'll get it. So it was a lot of messing around with this thing to get this to line up, but it ended up lining up pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's a good starting point. So once I work on that a little bit more, if you look in here, I think I'm gonna have to cap this, kind of make a sheet metal cap to go along this edge and go back into there, just so you can't see those old back hinges, and make that solid. And I got a nice edge here to work with, so that shouldn't be too bad. It's a pretty good amount of fabrication, but you know, it's fun stuff. Okay, let me show you something else back here. It's still going? Yeah. All right, so back over here. So that's how wide of a gap I had to fill. And I started doing this years ago, and it works pretty good. When you're cutting your sheet metal with your electric shears, you end up with these things. And if you take those, I got some around here somewhere. Here's a piece of one. And you straighten these guys out. They will lay in that gap pretty nice. Might have to sand it a little bit, but that's a nice filler piece to weld in around those. And I did one up here, so I'm going to grind that off for you and show you what that looks like when that's done. Let me set the phone up here. So I like to use these flapper discs for this kind of stuff. They smooth it down pretty quick, and they don't tear anything up like if you're using a hard disc. Some plugs. Cardinals are winning if anybody's listening to the ball game. All right. All right, so if you see that, it finishes off pretty nice. Put a little filler in there to smooth that out, and that'll come out looking pretty good. So I plugged off my door handle here, if you can see that. It's where the door handle was, and started tacking this together. So over the next 3 days or so, I'm gonna work on just, you know, getting this all welded down. All welded together. I don't know if I'm gonna get it ground off yet or not. We'll see, but I'll get it all filled in. And next, I'm not sure if I'm gonna move to the other side or not. I might just stay over here, work on this gap. I got some grinding to do back on this quarter panel. You know, get that fixed on the door there. I do want to work on my windows and figure out how they're going to work. I'd like to get my windows on this side. I know they're lining up and I know they're working before I start tearing that side apart. So I'll probably be on this side for a while. So today is like the 15th, 14th of August. The deal I got with this car is the guy I got it from has got a 69 GMC truck, and I painted a bedside and a tailgate for him for it a couple of years ago when it was wrecked, and he wants me to finish painting the truck. So it was a trade that I'll finish painting the truck and he gives me the car. So I told him to bring it over late September and we'll start on it. Not a whole lot of body work to do, just got to replace some rocker panels in it, inner and outer, maybe a little floorboard work. He's not decided on whether he's going to keep the trim yet, so we might be welding up some trim holes and just a basic white urethane paint job. Truck's white. It's a good looking truck. So my goal is to have this side all welded, ground down, windows working, and that side the doors done and hopefully all welded up before he brings that truck over. So that way I kind of clean up some mess in here and have a lot of this done. So that's what we're shooting for. This next weekend, my wife and I have a little cabin down south. I'm going to be down there working, so I'm going to try to drop one more video this week, maybe Wednesday or so, Wednesday night, and show you how far I've gotten between now and then. And yeah, and that's what we're going to do. So after this next video, there'll be a little pause, and I'll be back on this next week. But hopefully in the next 3 days we can get a fair amount done here and get this looking even better than what it does. So make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. You know, I'd like to hear your suggestions, you know, your ideas, what you think about the project. Share this video with somebody else, and appreciate everybody tuning in. And that is all for today.